Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here at Cannes and at Influential Beach. What a beautiful setting, an amazing experience. This is my second year, and also a fitting day to be doing this with it being Juneteenth. And so a little bit about the company. We are 44 years old, and we're the largest African-American owned, African-American targeted diversified multimedia company. We're in the radio, TV, and digital business. We reach 93 million Americans each month and about 70% of African Americans. We've always viewed ourselves not just in the media business, but in the Black people business. So it's not our job to just entertain, but we inform, we educate, and we advocate for the African American community. And we give opportunities to the culture and the voices that aren't otherwise heard on other outlets. And we've been doing it a long time. And this celebration of culture and creativity here at Cannes would not be appropriate without the conversation about the cultural impact that Black America has had. So with that, I'd like to play a short little video about the company.
Urban One.
We have a voice, listen to us.
More than 40 years as the leading voice for Black America, the largest distributor of urban content. Reaching multi-generational audiences at scale. Totally unique, unduplicated reach of 93 million.
This community is a home.
Connecting brands to 2 out of 3 Black consumers. Delivering content to audiences where they want it, when they want it, wherever they connect. Excellence in every corner of Black culture.
I love you. Peace. We got hits. We can do this all night.
But listen, when you cook, you gotta control the flame.
It's giving a shimmy and a give me, honey, okay, period.
Gabrielle Union, and I am in New York City, behind the beautiful.
How many taste tests do I get before it's obvious I'm just snacking?
This is the kitchen table.
Before you sell to me,
You should know me.
We are in the Black people business and proud of it.
Iconic brand partnerships. Unparalleled reach. Bold storytelling.
none of my friends believed me.
Data-driven integrated solutions. Unapologetically Black. Urban One.
Well, thank you very much. I cannot take credit for making that video, but I will anyway. Thank you, thank you. So look, after being in business for 44 years doing the same thing, you come across a lot of people and a lot of personalities. There have been a number of high-profile stars that have launched portions of their careers at Urban One. So names you might know: Steve Harvey, D.L. Hughley, Ricky Smiley, Wendy Williams, Yolanda Adams, Lala Anthony, Roxy Diaz, the Reverend Al Sharpton. We syndicate his radio show back in America, and Charlemagne the God, to name a few. However, there is one Urban One alumni that stands above the rest. And this person is a global superstar, a 3-time Grammy Award winner, an actor, an entrepreneur, a philanthropist. And his name is Ludacris. And I'd like to welcome him to the stage.
Welcome to Atlanta, jacking hammers and bows. Back to the mackin' and jacking the clothes. Adolescents packing the foes. A knock on the door. Who is it? I would happen to know, the one with the flow. Who did it? It was me, I suppose. Jay-Z in the rolls and Luda's in the cut supreme. Skating down old Nat, gat tucked and lean.
What's going on, everybody? Make some noise. How you feeling? Come on, wake up. Let's go.
So this is exciting.
Yes, it is.
Me and this gentleman go way back to the 1990s. I'm a bit older than he is, but we kind of started our careers together because I bought a little radio station in Atlanta in 1995, Hot 97. And we launched in Atlanta a revolution of the music that was coming out of Atlanta but wasn't getting played on the radio or, quite frankly, anywhere else. So it was a real start of a movement. And Luda and Shaka and Poon Daddy, were the night show. And he started his career as an intern, and they were explosive and creative, and the radio station, and they, blew up big, and so did the Atlanta music scene and then the Atlanta film scene. So lots of people have gone from other mediums and gone to radio, but very few people have gone from radio to explode on a career path that included the trajectory that Ludacris has. So I would just love for you to speak a bit about what you envisioned as a kid. How did you decide to come on the radio? How did you decide you wanted to be a hip-hop star, and then a business owner, a label head, an actor, and so on and so forth? What was that vision? How did you get motivated to do that?
Those are all great questions. So I just in case a lot of people don't know, I started rapping and doing music when I was 9 years old. And so, for about a decade, going in and out of groups and just really becoming my own voice and doing certain things to become what you all know as Ludacris. There were so many learning lessons and reading books, and I always knew that this is what I wanted to do, is be in the entertainment business and also be a businessman, because they call it the entertainment business for a reason. But throughout this journey, fresh out of high school is when in Atlanta, Georgia, they opened up the first 24-hour radio station that only played rap music. Before this man came along with this company, this amazing company, you would only hear rap on other stations maybe for Saturday night, between the hours of 7 and 8 or between the hours of 6 and 10. And so it was amazing to finally hear a station that played rap 24/7. And as soon as I heard that, and I was fresh out of high school, I was like, I have to make a way for myself up at this station. And I feel like if I can get a job up there, then I can continue to pursue my dream in becoming, an entertainer, international entertainer. And so what ended up happening was I went up there, like you said, and I just begged for an internship. And at first, your company was like, we're not hiring right now. And I said, okay. So I came back the next week. Are you guys hiring yet? I want an internship. I'm willing to do anything. I'm willing to work for free. So we're not hiring yet. I said, okay. Came back the next week. So they call it pleasant persistence. I'd say after about 2 months of them turning me down, they finally said, you know what? This guy he really wants a job up here. He could actually be an asset. We need people who have this type of persistence. And from there, I got hired on the morning show, 18 years old. And that was the beginning of my start with Urban One and Radio One. And I wanted to ask you, Atlanta radio station, what number station was that for you at the beginning of this company in terms of how many stations you guys had?
That was
about. You don't have to.
That was our third radio station.
And that's what I thought, because the first was DC.
DC, Baltimore, and then Atlanta.
DC, Baltimore. See, I'm learning stuff too. So understand that I came to the third station, the very beginning of where this company started. And that's how far we go back. So again, this is a full circle moment for me as well to come back 25 more plus years to have a sit down with this. So you guys are witnessing history right now. This is a very, very, very important moment in time and in history. And we're going to be thanking each other, I'm sure, up on this panel for the next hour or so.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, so you were on the radio. What was unique, you heard him say that he was in music, an artist. He wasn't an announcer, right? They would actually perform on the radio. You guys would rap and do that. And so it was a really significant cultural art form. And air personalities, radio DJs happen to have a lot of influence. In fact, we believe that they were the original social influencers, because it's a two-way medium. You're like, please call me on the radio, please meet me out here. You were close to your audience. How do you feel? In fact, the Horowitz did a study that 64% of Black Americans believe that radio personalities, they believe, influence their decisions even more so than other influencers. So how do you feel that being on the radio, being connected in the audience, helped you grow your brand and your career across all the different things that you went on to do?
Oh, absolutely. It's because we have, as we like to call it, our ear to the streets. Like, we are the culture. We know all of the trends way before the rest of the world understands it, because we make those trends. And I'm sure it's no surprise to anybody that even in the South and Southern music has been so dominant in music internationally for so long. And we have you to thank for that. But to answer your question, it's because we are the catalyst for change in our everyday lifestyles and everything that we witness going on that drives culture around the world. And this is years before sometime the rest of the world will catch on. And in retrospect, it's amazing because when we were doing it, we didn't think anything of it. It's just second nature. This is our life. This is what we live. This is what we do. And then you realize that what we're doing influences the entire rest of the world. And there's this year to 2 year process and period in which you slowly see it taking over some of the things and decisions that we made, and eventually you see them spreading all across the world and then into commercials and everything else.
So I remember, so I heard from the woman who was running our radio division at the time. She said, yeah, Chris Lover, he got signed by Def Jam. And I was like, okay, I didn't realize that. I thought he wanted to be in the radio business, right?
I want to hear all of this because I wasn't particularly with you. Yeah.
And so I was like, I didn't think much of it, but I was in Detroit and I was riding around listening to our radio station there.
And what number radio station was that?
WDTJ. That was, I don't know, 6 or 7 or something. But
all right.
And they played your first single.
Yeah, What's Your Fantasy?
What's Your Fantasy? And I don't know if you guys remember
or
that
Fat
song.
Rabbit. It might have been Fat Rabbit.
First of all, I was like, are we really playing that on the radio? The things you were saying. And I was like, come on.
Yeah.
And then my second reaction was, oh shit, I'm gonna lose my night show.
Yeah, man. We disruptors. We're both disruptors in different ways. Right?
So I lost my night show. All right, you started your path to be a global, superstar, but then you expanded your brand and your business. So you wanted to be in the music business. You started your company. You started at a company as a Black-owned business, and as a Black-owned business, we feel compelled to do more than just make money in our community. We, as I said before, represent, advocate, give opportunity. We feel like a different connection and a different responsibility. And the Ludacris brand, you're a Black-owned media brand and business as well. And so I'd like to hear what's happening now. What's happening next for brand Luda? What are you doing, to excite the world, going further? And also, how does that sort of intersperse with, that feeling of obligation and community to give back? Because you're in business with a number of your buddies that started out with you from the very beginning. And that's a trust and a bond that you guys have with each other, which extends to the community. So what are you guys doing next?
Well, first, let me answer one of your questions in that, I don't even know, I'm sure you realize this, but it's even better to hear it coming from me. When I started working at your radio station, and I'm 18 years old, you guys required us to do a certain amount of community hours, community service every single week and every single month. And this is new to me. When I'm saying I'm young and I'm like, at first I don't want to do any community service. I'm fresh out of high school. And then I started doing it and I understood the impact that I had on these young kids, and realizing just being a local celebrity in Atlanta, Georgia, you kind of forced me into the understanding of how impactful just me being there and me giving advice to kids were. So I want to thank you for that, because you and your company setting that standard has set off a series of events for me helping out the world in a completely different way. So you could definitely give a round of applause for that. That's first and foremost, yeah. And so if it wasn't for that and laying that foundation, then when you ask me what we're doing next, that's what we do. Everything is based off of giving back, even if it's just inspiring other people. So through movies, through television, through telling our story, we actually have a deal with BET going on to tell the story of me starting at your radio station and everything that came from that. So, you know, generally speaking, I could say the goal is world domination, all under the umbrella of entertainment. But yes, more music, more movies, more television shows, and trying to continue to give back based off that foundational element that you provided for us.
I don't know how I should feel about the fact that it's going to be on BET, but I appreciate everything else you said. You know,
Hey, Viacom.
all right, they got bigger budgets. That's all right. I understand.
You know, we talking about the black
You're
audience.
in the music business. You got to go where the biggest budget is.
We're talking about the black audience and the catalyst for change in the culture. BET is a great place to have that.
No doubt. One of the things that during this entire event here that we've been talking about is that more than ever, black media companies have been working together, so that, because we all want a seat at the table. If the culture is celebrated, then the tide lifts all boats. So we don't look at it as one or the other. We look at it as the culture rising, and so congratulations on that, and I can't wait to see it.
Thank you.
Yeah. I also want to talk about how you've expanded into acting. Yeah, what was your first entree? How did you think about it? Yeah, how do you view that versus your music career? Because I keep looking for your picture along the croisette on one of these, like from the Cannes Film Festival.
I've seen
your
those.
Fast and Furious franchises launched you into a global superstar, just from an acting standpoint, not just your music. So how do you think about that in the mix these days?
I think it's great, and I got my start. John Singleton, who was a director, and he passed away, may he rest in peace. But this guy is responsible for taking a lot of people from the music entertainment world and placing them in movies. You know, he took Ice Cube and they did, what's the movie? Boys in the Hood. He took Tyrese and they did Baby Boy. So he notices something in individuals who he feels can expand their horizons just based off of their music videos and him knowing and seeing something in one that says, okay, this person can be an actor. And he chose me to try out for Too Fast, Too Furious. That was the first one that I was in. And I remember being on tour with Eminem at the time backstage, and they needed this pre-tape back within a couple days. And I remember putting myself on tape and reading the lines and trying to study it as fast as I could. And John Singleton called me back the next day and told me that I got the job. So that's kind of how I got my start. And then from there, I ended up falling in love with acting. And Crash came along, which is an Academy Award-winning movie, and you had Hustle and Flow, and now everything else. And so we're just very, very appreciative for that. But he was the person that originally kind of put me in that position.
Have you got into the production business as well? Production company doing that?
Absolutely, and that's what we were talking about, like with BET show being an example.
This is a Ludacris. This is your producer.
Yeah, imprint, and we've done some other things. We've done some documentaries and things of that nature, but absolutely.
So switching now to why we're here. This is a brand marketing conference.
Yes.
You have also become a star in that sense. You're connected to some of the biggest and greatest campaigns out there. Obviously, State Farm, Stella Artois, Jif Peanut Butter, Google. There we go. I guess that's a Jif. There we go.
Jif Peanut Butter family in the house right now. Interesting.
So one of my questions, you may have to load it, because I was going to ask you, which one of these campaigns, and since they're here,
whichever one paid me the most.
So let me look.
I'm just playing.
So, hey, how do you decide, like, which, because you're a brand, you got to protect yourself as well. How do you decide which brands to align yourself with? And then second, what do you tell these brands is what's the best way to tap into our community, the African-American community, urban culture, and your fan base in particular?
Yeah, that's a great question. I literally align myself with brands nowadays that are a part of my everyday lifestyle. You can ask my family, my wife is here today. I eat peanut butter every single day. Like, that's just that's my vice. So to do something with Jif was amazing. I had an album called Chicken and Beard, so to do something with Stella Artois, it just goes along with my lifestyle. We did a campaign with Google called Buying Black. I love to support black businesses. I have black businesses. These are all a part of my lifestyle. And again, going to what you're saying and why we're here, you have to support black businesses. You have to support these, all black businesses, because it's very important in understanding the black dollar, how far the black dollar goes, and reinvesting that money back into, you know, the community and just supporting one another. And you also talked about Fast and Furious. This movie is so successful because of the diversity and the inclusion, and you see this multi-cast, the multi-ethnic cast. So it's very important to include this array of individuals that come from different cultures, because there's power in each and every one of them, and that's why.
Yeah, look, this conference has been fascinating because you see so many celebrities, you know, sports celebrities, music artists, film artists. They're here, because they, you know, are connected to brands like you are, or want to connect with brands. I had somebody tell me that this Cannes Lions Festival has become bigger than the actual film festival in terms of the number of people and the actual impact it's had. So it's a great opportunity. It's lovely to see, in particular because Black culture has had an entertainment impact for a very long time, but now it's having an equal marketing impact, right?
Yes,
and
yes.
people are using it in order to drive popular consumer consumption.
Absolutely. And State Farm is here as well. State Farm, we did a commercial with State Farm. Insurance is very important. I insured my voice. So if anything ever happens to my voice, you know, I get paid for it. It would be good. That's my number one asset.
So we talked about Black culture. For a long time, it has driven popular culture, now international culture, but it didn't always get its just due. In fact, marketers for a long time were scared of it, right? You know, but as it's crossed over internationally, it's become more user-friendly and actually useful in terms of driving consumer adoption. But in order to do that, you know, these personalities like yourself also have to cross over beyond their traditional urban fan bases.
Right.
How do you think about that, and what kinds of ways would you, say that we could collaborate to help that happen? Because we as a media company sell the fact that Black culture is mainstream culture, right?
Absolutely.
And we want that, because if it's mainstream culture, then mainstream marketers will look at making mainstream investments. So do you have a particular view on what's the right approach to make sure that this culture becomes widespread, not just general market in the U.S., but then internationally accepted?
I have a great example of what that is. I may not have the exact answer, but everything that we're doing here today and us sitting down and me talking about, I came from Urban One, and you provided a safe space for me to be 100% authentic to who I am. And all I did was expand what the opportunity and the platform that you gave me. So you invested in me, and see, now we're talking about all these different brand deals and making it international. If you see where the seed is at and how it got planted and what it's grown to, that's a perfect example of why and how we need to invest more into the Black dollar.
I think, thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. Thank you.
So look, I get it. Last year was my first year here. Me and my team, we came here for the first time, and people have been telling me I needed to show up, and I was like, yeah, no, it's a boondoggle. Yeah. And then I get here, and then everybody you need to know or want to know is here, and we're all talking about the same thing that we do every day, which is advertising and marketing and engaging consumers. And so the fact that we're on this world stage, international stage, having this conversation is amazing. And so
Agreed.
Yeah, before we wrap up and maybe see if there's any questions from the audience, I want to talk about, we talked about you as a radio personality, music icon, actor, business owner, brand ambassador, but you're also a father, right?
Yeah.
And you just had your daughter graduate from
Summa cum laude. She just graduated
from Spelman College,
Spelman
HBCU.
Thank
HBCU.
you. Yeah.
And a lot of the diversity and inclusion conversation is about how do you get more people of color, more diverse, and that includes more people of color, but also women. And more people of color doesn't just mean Black people, it's Hispanics, it's Asian people.
Absolutely.
It's LGBTQ. What would you like to see happen in the future and pathways, for your children. A lot of our kids, my son's here, he's 15, your daughter, a lot of children follow in the footsteps of their parents. And so knowing what you know about the business today, what kinds of sort of future innovations, opportunities are you hopeful will come of gatherings like this, seeing that the industry, evolves to provide an opportunity for your kids and my kids in the future?
Man, I'm being the change that I want to see for them and trying to pave the way even more and doing justice for the individuals that paved the way for myself. And happy Juneteenth, by the way, with that being said.
Happy Juneteenth.
But yeah, I think that, I'm always trying to provide a safe space and incubator for my children the same way that Urban One provided a safe space and an incubator for me. And I think the more that we do these things and have these conversations, the more open-minded that people are and the more they want to invest back into us and include us and have this diversity and understand the power in that. So again, being the change that I want to see and doing everything in my power to make sure that they have better opportunities and better chances to continue to soar and evolve and grow.
Yeah, don't talk about it, be about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. You can't talk about it. You got to be about it these days.
That's great.
For sure.
So, look, I'd like to see if you, want to take any questions from the audience.
Of course. That's why we're here.
Yeah. Oh.
Yes.
The lady waving her hand furiously for the Fast and Furious. Yeah, here.
Oh,
you got a mic?
Give you the mic.
Is there a mic over? Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Oh, it's because you're right in front of me. There you go. Right in front of us.
Hi to both of you. Thank you so much for what you're doing. My name is Flavilla Fongain, and I'm born French. All my life, I navigated in space alone, but it didn't stop me from thriving. And I realized that our community, the Black community, is scattered. If you look at other communities, they know exactly how to buy from one another. And what I'm doing right now, and I'm crazy enough to think I can do it, I'm building the biggest Black ecosystem by building a global social business platform. And I know that what you're doing is really aligned with what I believe. And I'm being cheeky, and I'm going to ask if it's something that you would invest in, both of you, or even advocate for. And I brought my application. I can show you the demo. I'm just taking the opportunity here to just be bold and see how we can build and be, because I believe that unity is the foundation for us to be able to grow, because we can do great individually, but as a community, we can go so much further, so we can really build a legacy to build generational wealth for the Black community.
So who do you want to invest, him or me?
She wants both of us to invest.
Split it.
I think she wants as much investment as she can possibly get here. This is a good question for you, Mr. Liggins. He's been a businessman more decades than I have. I'm curious to know his answer.
Let me first say, if I had $1 for every time I've opened that question and answer period up, and it doesn't happen. That was you did the right thing. So speaking up, look, you don't ask, you don't get. Right?
You don't ask, you don't get. I've been born cheeky and I carry
So look, I would say that I will exchange information with you so you can tell us, give us a pitch on what your product is and how it can help and how it can make money, et cetera. So I'll definitely open that door for you. At a minimum, we can see if it has efficacy with what we do. Second, there also people that are here that are investment companies that are looking for ideas like that, which we run across, and we'd be happy to try to turn you on to that if it's not something that works. In fact, Rodney Shealy, where are you at? You here? Rodney works at a big fund that invests in media ideas. That's what he does for a living.
Oh,
yeah. I didn't even get to say the name. It's called Black Rise. Black Rise.
Black Rise. Yeah. All right, thank you very much. And I'll talk to you afterwards.
Yes. Oh, but you
we got another question. Can you pass the mic to this young lady here? And then you go next.
Thank you for the time. It's a very special day, Juneteenth. I'm so happy. It's a federal holiday in the United States. We needed this for a long time. But there's a lot happening in the world to help support the community. What would you say is missing, and how can everyone, being the regular person, support the community, similar to, how you had the mandate for community hours? There's buying Black businesses products, listening to music. Is there anything else that you feel like is still missing?
There's so much that's missing. Yeah. But again, you just being here today, and I think it helps and understanding. And again, just spreading the word and continuing to learn and understand is pretty much the first step. But there's a lot more that needs to be done. But I feel like we're doing everything in our power to continue.
Yeah, look, I would add, a lot of you in the room have probably heard this, but at least in America, we're here. Last year, I'd never seen so much diversity and inclusion conversation ever in the advertising business.
Yeah, very true.
But back home in America, that concept is under assault, as we know. It's under assault by the courts. It's under assault by political committees. And diversity and inclusion it's an American value, right? That's how the country was founded. It's about voices for everyone, not just a select few. So as the chorus of anti-DEI happens, you being here and asking that question and what you all can do is no matter what the courts say, you go back and you practice the idea of diversity and inclusion, and we keep it alive and well in the conversation and in forums like this, because ultimately it is an American value. It's not an African American value. It's not, Hispanic value. It really is about access to opportunity for all Americans. I promised you one last question, and then we're going to have to wrap it up, I'm told.
Thank you. I think you've done an amazing job with protecting your brand. You're not like on 100 interviews, but I am a podcast advocate. Actually, I'm doing a podcast summit next month, and Urban One is sponsoring actually. But have you thought about starting a podcast? And if you have, can I help you?
I thought about selling products.
Starting a podcast.
Oh, starting a podcast. None of that. It's funny you say that because I started in radio. We've had plenty of conversations. It's just about not spreading myself too thin at a certain time. I'm sure the conversations will continue. I just have to kind of focus on the task at hand at the moment. But there's definitely potential and conversations to be had. And congratulations on yours as well.
I can make it really, really easy for you, and I'd love to assist you with it.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Well, you got one of us already, so...
There you go. So the person that started with me is actually here as well. My manager, Shaka Zulu, he started at Urban One as well. He started as the music director, so this is a full circle moment for him.
Absolutely.
And he was at the radio station before I was there, and this is how I met him. So I can't go on with this interview without acknowledging an individual that I've been with and has helped me to grow and evolve in here. So make one more round of applause for Shaka Zulu and his brother Jeff Dixon, both my management, Ebony's son.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I'd like to recognize the Urban One team. And tonight, we are excited for you to bring a little Southern hospitality right here to Influential Beach.
Yeah,
all right?
Absolutely.
And you're going to light it up.
1,000%.
And we don't care about the rain because we covered.
Absolutely.
Right? And it will not dampen our fire. So thank you all for coming and being a great audience. Giving us your time and your attention. All right. Have a good day.
Thank you.